Okay, and we're live. Good afternoon to everyone. A wonderful Wednesday to each and every one of you. I know it's raining cats and dogs right now in Manila, but it is still a wonderful Wednesday. So, welcome to another live webinar series forecast powered by Ariva Academy. Good afternoon to our Zoom participants, and hi, and hello to our FB, YouTube, and LinkedIn viewers right now. Don't forget to share and like our e-learning session today. So our topic for this afternoon is how to connect with clarity and confidence, building community in times of uncertainty and isolation. My name is Irish Malonda Sampson, your host, and join me in welcoming our moderator, Mr. Howell Mabalot.
Rainy afternoon, Miss Irish Malonda Samson and our dear participants. Is blue the color of the day?
Yes, for me.
So, naka-blue tayo pareho.
Okay, so Sir Howell, join me in welcoming our international participants, our participants who are watching overseas, and they are watching from Kowloon, Hong Kong, Chennai, India, South Jakarta, Indonesia, Cork, Ireland, Petaling Jaya, Malaysia, Johor Bahru, Malaysia, Lalitpur, Nepal, Doha, Qatar, Singapore, Sharjah, United Arab Emirates, Petersfield, United Kingdom, and of course, Australia. And also, hi and hello to the OFW, the overseas Filipino workers who are watching right now. Okay? And in order for us to have a smooth flow of our e-learning session, here are the house rules. Who are first-time viewers of our webinar, please type in hi in the chat box now. And if this is your second time, third time, or fourth time to watch our webinar, please type in hello and where are you from so we can greet you as well. Okay? So let's check. Good afternoon, Leonard Reyes. Rainy afternoon from Frances Lim. Okay. So let's check as well. From Lisa Flores, hello. Benedicto Cruz, hi sir, welcome to our e-learning session. Monique Salazar. Janeline Carinal is watching from Manila. I'm Margaret Vista, good afternoon. Christian Elepa from Batangas, hello sir. Okay. From San Jose del Monte, Bulacan, Gentle Mary Ching, Matthew Joen Ablasa from Quezon City. Welcome to our e-learning session. From Australia, hello, Sir Val Clark. Benedicto Cruz Paranaque. Okay, so let's do a sound check. You will be needing good quality headset. Please type in now 111 to show if you can hear me loud and clear and I am audible. 111. Thank you, Francis. 111. Okay, Christian, John Vincent, thank you. 111. Matthew Joen, Jenna Lynn, Gentle, Mary Shalimar, Bartolome, 111. Leonard Reyes, thank you. Okay, 222 means you cannot hear me or no sound at all. 2121 means our sound is breaking up or there's a log. And question mark if you don't understand anything. So far, Sir Howell, 111.
Wonderful.
We will be having a quick break later after the presentation of our guest speaker and before we move on to our question and answer portion. Participants' microphones will be temporarily disabled by the administrator during discussion to avoid interruptions. Questions will be entertained after each topic of the session. For questions and clarifications during the provided time after each topic, please click the raise hand button for the administrator to enable the microphone for live questions. Later at the question and answer portion, we will entertain live questions from our Zoom participants. Type in your questions at the Q&A box, again at the Q&A box, not in the chat box. One question at a time will be entertained. For comments and feedback, please scan this QR code. This will be directed to our feedback form. Please help us to improve our future e-learning sessions. And now, to discuss how to connect with clarity and confidence, building community in times of uncertainty and isolation. Sir Howell, we are very privileged to have another global keynote speaker to discuss with us this e-learning session. So take it away, sir.
We definitely are fortunate, blessed. Of course, this opportunity to hear our speaker is something that we looked forward to in the past few days. Today's speaker is widely known as an engaging international speaker and author who inspires leaders and entrepreneurs to connect with confidence. As a speaker, author, and leadership coach, her message goes beyond cultural borders, tapping into a yearning that lies within each of us, the desire to connect with those around us. Best known for her book, Do Talk to Strangers: How to Connect with Anyone, Anywhere. She is an expert at equipping audiences with thought provoking and practical tools to develop the confidence they need in order to expand their network and create more opportunities. Ladies and gentlemen, let's all welcome Coach Kerrie Phipps. Hello, Coach Kerrie.
Hello, Howell, and hello, team. Hello, Val, 5 minutes down the road, and all our friends in the Philippines, Dubai. What an amazing, amazing audience you've gathered, and what a great team you have there, Howell.
Thank you. You look great in red, Coach Kerrie.
Thank you. It is.
So, how's the weather in Australia?
Well, it's quite lovely at the moment, and I actually have a little photo to share with you of our neighbourhood in recent times. It's a beautiful time of year, starting to get chilly, and of course, then I'll really, really be wanting to come and visit you all in the Philippines.
And I would like to congratulate the government of Australia for winning the fight against COVID-19. Your government did a great job. So you must be proud.
Yeah, it's a great place to be, and I think there's been great leadership. So, but it's a big deal for everyone everywhere in the world, and
it is.
Yeah, it's been amazing to see people working together and seeing how can we collaborate, how can we do beautiful things even when things are difficult. So yeah, there's lots of inspiring stories too. And a hello to Patricia Lim, who is from Cebuana Luelia, who invited me to go and speak to their team several years ago.
Wow.
So it's a bit of a reunion here today, Howell.
It is. And this is the beauty of technology. We can connect with clarity and hopefully with confidence despite physical distance. And having said that, Coach Kerrie Phipps, we are so excited to hear from you now. So take it away, Coach Kerrie.
Thank you so much. And clarity comes, the confidence comes when we have clarity. So let's look into how we can get more of that. Thank you, Howell. And I'm glad you're sitting there, because I think we'll have, I'll collaborate with you as we move through this PowerPoint too. I love a conversation, and I miss all your smiling faces, but I know that they're out there, but at the moment it's just me and Hal. But we're going to talk about connecting with confidence. And of course, in your slide, you saw that I talked about connecting with clarity and confidence. So we're going to go so much more inside today. Often when people want to talk to the author of Do Talk to Strangers, they want all the tips and all the practical things that we can do. And we will get to more of that later, but we really need to look within, because it's very easy to just jump online and send messages and make up posts and send them out. But to actually spend time within and wonder, how would this land if somebody sent this to me? Or what does this really mean to other people who haven't grown up in the space that I've grown up in? We can so easily cause misunderstandings. So we want to be in a really nice, clear thinking space. So first of all, good afternoon from Australia. I hope you can see my little flag waving and my little kangaroo friend there. I was asking my mum, did she have a photo that it's one of those family photos that you never forget, but you can't think how long ago it is that you've seen it. But there's a photo of my mum crouching down with me as a 2 or 3 year old with a little tiny, smaller than this, baby Joey on the road, and we rescued it. Yeah, we rescued it and took it to the zoo, but it did live in our kitchen for a week or two, which was pretty cool. So this is a hello from my neighbourhood. Because it's autumn, all the leaves are changing colour. And this week I had a great conversation with Anne, who is part of your team there at Ariva, and I was walking down the street with her and I said, I know we've finished our conversation, but stay with me for like a couple more meters and I'll show you a stunning tree that's all these different colors. So it's one of the things that just
definitely stunning.
Yeah, so it's 3 p.m. there in the Philippines. I don't know if everyone's got a coffee.
It is.
You're sitting there ready. Hopefully you can take notes today also. This coffee is not just a nice picture of coffee, but this was taken in a cafe in Makati by my husband.
Wow.
Yeah, so there we go, Philippines coffee.
Mm-hmm.
And I do have a few special connections to the Philippines. And the first goes way back. I think a lot of people recognize these beautiful shoes. In fact, I do have them here. I can't see my camera, so I'm not sure if you're seeing if I'm in the right place. But
Coach Kerrie, do you know how we call that? Do you know how we call that? You know what we call that?
I know it starts with B-A, but I've lost the name of
bakya. It's bakya.
Bakya.
Yeah, it's bakya. Beautiful bakya. That's very representative of Philippines.
Yes. So they're very
and look
special.
at those intricate beadworks.
Yes, yeah, it's really quite amazing, and they're in perfect condition. I've only worn them on carpet, but my grandmother bought them back 50 years ago.
Wow.
So she went to the Philippines just after my parents got married, and she got these shoes that happened to be the perfect size for me. And here I am in the Philippines just a couple of years ago. So we're going to cover a little of my story today, from the beginnings on the farm with little kangaroos and going to the Philippines a number of times in the recent years. But first of all, I want to check in. How are you? So whether you're watching from Malaysia, Johor, I was there just recently. If you're watching from KL, if you're in Dubai, Qatar, where is everyone coming from? I know there were so many places mentioned earlier. Here in, Chile, a little bit sunny Dubbo, and all over the Philippines. So how are you going?
So Coach Kerrie, can you see their inputs at the chat room, or do you want me to read them for you?
I can look at the chats here.
Okay, good. So good.
Phone, yes.
Let me know if you need some assistance, okay?
But yeah, because you will probably see comments that I don't see. At the moment, I can see, hi, Miss Irish, you look great. That's from Jamie. Jamie's obviously an awesome encourager. And then hi Kerrie from Patricia. Are there comments after that?
In a while.
If there's others, then I might have missed them. So please keep me informed. Okay, so you see these emojis, and there are so many more, but this is just one little screenful. So it's important to take a moment to notice, how am I feeling right now? And so we might just, Howell, I'm feeling excited.
Me too.
But, at other times in the day, I felt daunted. I felt frustrated by technology. I felt grateful for your amazing team. I felt, a little chilly and lonesome, waiting for my husband to come home and help me fix something. So we go through all of these different feelings. I haven't felt green at all today, which is great. But we're going to flick forward and ask, how are you feeling at the moment? So if everyone would put it in the chat, that would be awesome. Can you put, 1 or 2 words? Maybe you're feeling challenged but inspired, or maybe you're feeling a little down, a bit flat. Everyone here is in a different situation. I know some of you, there's contented, there's sad. We have been living in very unusual times, and for some people it's been extremely traumatic. For others, it's just been a time to go, oh, okay, I need to reassess. There's excitement, feeling great, relaxed, ecstatic for another great learning. Yes, you guys have been doing some fantastic learnings. Hopeful, that is fantastic. Full, that's awesome. So, what else? We don't have to cover this now, but why not? Tell me, what is your favorite Philippine food? I just love anything coconut, but but I was reminded of adobo today, which I had with Patricia, and I have been
adobo from Francis Lim, adobo.
Someone's written that already, Francis. Thank you. Yes, you might be feeling unproductive. That's right. Excited for a new food delivery business. That's so exciting, because there are opportunities when things are challenging. We go, oh, how can I do things differently? Maybe we feel like we really have had our hands tied behind our back and we just cannot do anything. So if we take the time to just go, okay, how am I feeling right now? Am I feeling defeated? Okay, let's be honest about that. And then we can move forward. But sometimes we just try to ignore how we're feeling. So we might unpack a little bit more of that. And Val says she's never visited, but I think we need to change that because she's going to love. Buko juice. Yes. Anything coconut. I went to this amazing place in Cebu. I have to tell you, I've had less than 24 hours in Cebu. I landed at 7:30 in the morning. I was taken to breakfast. I had about an hour to have a nap, and then because I'd flown all night via Singapore, I went up to the top of the mountain, and there's this beautiful restaurant that's like open and just 360-degree views, and it was stunning. But I still remember the curry that was served in a coconut. That was back in 2016. This time, May 2016, and I'll never forget that. Okay, so I just would love to know. Thanks, Hal. I just would love to know who's on the call today in terms of where are we at? Are you employed? Are you unemployed? Are you self-employed? So there's a poll there. So let's see. It's great to see the poll because we can see where everyone's at.
So, dear participants, please accomplish the question. The first question at the poll: are you currently employed, unemployed, self-employed? So you have a minute to do that. We appreciate those who are typing in their answer at the webinar chat, but we also would like you to please answer the poll question. I wonder if you can see it from your end. I'm sure. I heard you are using Mac right now.
Yes.
Can you see the poll question?
I can actually, which is fantastic. So, and I recognize that some people might be full-time studying, but then when I thought about putting study in there, I thought, well, you could be employed and studying. You could be unemployed and studying. You could be self-employed and studying. Because, we're all learners, aren't we? And and even if we're not studying full-time, we're always learning. So
yes, we are.
Yeah. Okay, so interesting. So most people are employed, and I really want to thank you for taking time out this afternoon to spend with me. And I wanted to ask that question because Howell, I saw that just last week the unemployment rate in the Philippines has rocketed and
3.2 million.
Yeah, was it? Okay, now I've got my. Okay. No, I should have written my numbers down, but I just went, it's a significant jump from where it was in January, so it's like, and I think in a lot of countries, same here, as cafes and restaurants closed and so many shops closed, people are out of work. So it's a very challenging time, but it's also that time where we ask ourselves, what do I want to do differently? And so connecting with clarity and confidence is super important because this is a great time to be connecting with people who inspire us. We might be connecting in a new 7 million unemployed Filipinos. That's what I read the other day, and I think it's 5 million
okay more. But the 3.2 are those who just recently lost their job
yes
due to COVID-19 right. But 7M that's the total number of people who lost their jobs.
So that is devastating. And so some people turn to self-employment, which is great. And the essence of whatever we're doing, whether we're employed or whether we're self-employed or looking for a job, it's all about connecting with others, isn't it?
Yes.
And we can race into how do I connect better with CEOs? How do I connect better with the C-suite? Or how do I connect better with customers? How do I connect in a job interview? But we need to be asking ourselves, how do I connect with myself? Am I listening to the conversations within? So thank you for answering that poll. That's great. I'll just slip that to the side. Okay, so while we are connecting with others, listening is so important. Listening to ourselves and listening to others. So we're going to have a look at what's going on up here. What's going on in our thinking? We know there's a lot going on there. And attention changes the brain. So while we look at the brain today, we're going to look at what are we paying attention to. And I thought you might particularly like this photo. I'm 90% certain this is a photo I took as I was leaving Balisin Island, which is just off Manila. Oh. It's just a stunning island. But, you come home from trips and you've got so many photos. But I'm pretty certain that was Balisin Island. From a connection and another introduction, and then somebody says, can I take you to my private members only island? And I said, of course, thank you.
And that definitely is a very expensive
So
island. I'm telling you
Ballyson.
that.
You know Ballyson Island. I was greatly honoured to be taken there. So, Dr. Jeffrey Schwartz is the author of You Are Not Your Brain and a number of other neuroscience books. He is kind of the founding father, one of the founding fathers of neuroscience in terms of neuroplasticity, explaining neuroplasticity, how we can change our own brain. And so I met Dr. Schwartz in 2007. He came to the first Neuro Leadership Summit in Sydney, and they've done a couple in Sydney, but mostly there on either side of the US. So he says you don't have to let your brain push you around. You know, we can think thoughts like, oh, I'm not good at connecting, you know, I'm introverted, I'm not good at those things. But we can have a different conversation when we notice the conversation in our head, when we start listening to ourselves, not just to others. Okay, so I'm interested to know, how connected are you feeling at the moment? Because as we've been in isolation, the topic of conversation right across the world has been connection. You know, there's people singing on their balconies and there's so many different things happening. So some people are feeling more connected, which I found really interesting. Because maybe you're spending more time at home and you're spending cherished time with your family that you might have spent commuting previously. Some people are feeling less connected because they just can't get out and see their friends, and interesting that quite a few feel about the same. But let's just give it a minute.
Yeah, so let's give our participants, please answer the poll question number 2. Do you feel more connected, less connected, or just about the same in this time of isolation? In the Philippines, we call it quarantine.
Yes. And it's interesting that it was called social distancing, and now the government has changed their language and it's called physical distancing, which I think is so much better, because we're creating a physical distance between ourselves and others when we're like passing people in the shops and in cafes. But social distancing is not such a good idea because we need to be socially connected.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah, someone's created a vegetable garden, which we did too. I haven't grown vegetables since I was in high school, I think, Hal, but I said to my husband, I think we're going to be home for a while. We had planned to spend most of this year in Asia, so we would have been there in the Philippines. I said to him, I think we're going to be home for a while, so we could grow some vegetables. And I just like the idea of sharing them with the neighbours.
And because the Philippines is also a very agricultural country, we have been growing that since as a kid as well.
Yeah.
Coach Kerrie, 50% are more connected.
That's fantastic. And then the others are less connected or about the same. So that is beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing. And so for those who are feeling more connected, you might notice some things as we're talking today that help you understand why that is. Why are you feeling more connected? And what is it that you've been doing that might be a really powerful habit to continue after you get your freedom and start moving around more? What are the things that you've done to stay connected or to reach out to others that you might do more of? And for those feeling less connected or about the same, then there might be some insights today that will help you also to move forward and feel more connected. Okay, so we're talking a lot about awareness, and this is another neuroscientist that I've been learning from over the last 10 years or so. And Dr. Dan Siegel, he said the power of awareness changes our well-being. And I would say it really changes everything, doesn't it? Because we can't move on from a problem until we know what is it actually that's going wrong here. What's happening. So we'll have a look at awareness. So we're going to dive into some of the content of the asking model, which is in the Do Talk to Strangers book. And I'm just wondering if you're seeing me okay, because I can't see myself, but as long as
we're seeing you beautifully, Coach Kerrie.
As long as I'm not,
don't worry about it.
As long as I'm not moving off camera, in my walking around. Okay, so it all starts with awareness, and it's about self-awareness and awareness of others. So what is the conversation in your head? That was a question that stopped me in my tracks in 2004, and it helped me realize that while there's the conversation that's going on that you're having with other people, but there's something going on behind the scenes. And it might be, I'm not good enough at this, or everybody else is more professional, everybody else is more experienced. Have you ever had that other people are better conversation in your head?
Yes.
And Hal's nodding because of course he might just go, no, I don't think so.
No,
but I'm sure that there are.
You actually feel that.
Yeah, we do. We don't know anyone else's story, but we just see that they have a nice suit and we just think, oh, they just are so much more experienced than me. Well, maybe they just have a nice suit.
Yeah.
So we can't be too hard on ourselves. Now, this is my hand painted to look like a brain by a friend of mine who's a world champion body paint artist, and he got the medical book out and looked at this brain and started painting it, so we can have conversations about it. But back to Dr. Daniel Siegel, I want to show you his hand model of the brain so we can see what's going on inside. So if you just want to hold your hand up like this,
Okay.
and tuck your thumb in. Now, this is an important part, and I'm pointing out this part of my husband's hand brain, and that is the emotional center of the brain. So that's where when you see somebody and they frown at you and your brain suddenly goes into a threat state. They don't like me. And the truth is they might be passing you by thinking, what am I going to feed everybody for dinner tonight? But we see the frown on their face and we just think, what did I do? They don't like me. We make it about us. So we need to know this part of our brain is keeping us safe. It's on the lookout for threats. And a social threat is read by the brain in the same way that a physical threat is. So we can just say, okay, thank you, I see you, but I want to do my focused thinking. So if you just fold your fingers over the top, and so that is like our forehead, behind our forehead, that's our prefrontal cortex.
Right.
So it's where we're doing our focused thinking, weighing up options, and that's the focused work.
Okay.
And, we work this part of our brain really hard. It's like the stage or the desk that we put everything on, that we're trying to work on, figure things out. And then little interruptions, like somebody's tone of voice, or as I said before, the look on their face, or something happens that then upsets everything. And so then you actually go back to this state. And Dr. Siegel calls it he calls it flipping your lid. Yes. So you can't actually have both areas going at the same time. So when we're in a threat state, we're not doing our best thinking. And have you ever noticed that? Maybe when you're driving and somebody cuts you off in traffic and you get frustrated. You're not the best driver in that moment. And how it actually feels a bit funny for me to say that to a Filipino audience, because I have been in crazy traffic in the Philippines and everybody's calm. And
everybody is.
And it's just like beep, beep, beep. And that, beep, beep would be read by an Australian driver in Australia as aggression. And I say to the driver, what is that communicating? It's just like, oh, I'm here. It's just like, so we don't bump into each other. We're just communicating. And this is the important thing about asking questions, not assuming that something is a threat. Yeah. So down the back here, so if you look at the back of your hand, that's where we do sort of save all our memories. And it's like we use this language, don't we, that we've just filed something away.
Yeah.
Or if we see someone coming towards us in the mall and we haven't seen them for a long time and we think, oh, what's their name? What's their name? What's their name?
I know this person.
I should know their name. And so what's happening is we're literally reaching back for this memory that we haven't accessed for a while. But also we're going into a threat state because we don't want them to think that we are ignoring them or that we don't know their name. And so it actually sends us into a flipped lid state. And then we can't think of their name and we just say, hi, and we feel nervous. And that's just getting in the way of a good conversation. And so people often ask me, how do you remember people's names? So let's just pause and have a little tip around this. Is that okay? So when I have that moment and I think, oh, I should know this person's name, I just let it go, because if I worry about it, it makes it worse. I think everyone would relate to that. try harder and harder, and then you're like, does it start with M? M, M, M. Oh, that's right, it's Howell. It's like, it's not M at all. So let it go and just enjoy seeing them and just like, hi, how are you? It's good to see you, Howell. Because as I just connect, as I make my intention to connect, to make you feel welcome, I let it go. And usually the name comes to me. And sometimes it's like, a few sentences in, and then I'm like saying goodbye. And it's like, it's so good to see you, Howell. And you go, she does know my name. And occasionally I've had to say, I'm sorry, I can't think of your name. I know I should know it. And we just laugh about it because other people experience this too, don't they?
Yes, we do.
It's human. It's human. And we can just go, I'm just having a moment. I can't think. But sometimes we get caught out with unexpected moments. Like I said to a lady, she was so excited to see me. Chat, chat, chat. She's like, what you've been doing great lately is fantastic. And I was like, can you just remind me, where was it that we were last talking? Because I thought if I can see her in a particular place, that will help the memories come back. So I was like, where was it that we last connected? And she said, oh, we've never met before. I've just seen you in the paper. So I just went, oh, okay, that's why. I was trying so hard to remember you. Okay, so this is what our brain looks like a little bit. I mean, obviously that's a tree overlaid with a brain, but I want you to look at the tiny little ends, the tiny little shoots. So if you can imagine that the other way around, like planted in the ground, what do roots look like? And I actually have Exhibit A here. My husband got this plant from somebody, just cut it off, put it into this pot just to grow some roots. And can you see the roots there?
Yes, we can. It's
yeah. So he was going to plant it weeks ago, but it just keeps growing roots. And that's like the new ideas in our brain. They're so fragile. And so we want to nurture the ones that are worth paying attention to. So remember that photo of Ballysin Island, and Dr. Schwartz was saying attention changes the brain. So what are we going to pay attention to? We see those fragile new thoughts. Maybe it's a new idea, a dream, an aspiration, and we think, oh, I could write about this. And then we just go, oh, no, I'm not a good writer. My sister's a better writer than me, or, my teacher said I couldn't write. And so those fragile little roots of an idea can be crushed. So I just want to help you remember that those little bursts of inspiration, to pay attention to them. And the ways that we can pay attention is writing about them, talking about them to people who believe in us, who, and sometimes it's talking to a total stranger because they're not going to judge you. They're not going to say, but, you've never done anything like that before. Like what happens when you tell a stranger an idea? They just go, oh, that's interesting. Oh, I knew somebody that did that. It's a conversation without, judgment or assumption, which is just one of the reasons that people tell me they love talking to strangers. So we're just going to switch gears for a moment and talk about nervousness, because it's like that moment when you're wanting to remember somebody's name, when you want to connect with somebody and you don't because you feel nervous. So I want to ask, what is your purpose? And this is something I put on Facebook or Instagram a number of years ago. And it keeps coming back to me, but I feel like I need to explain a little further. When your purpose is around serving others, making someone's day, then your nervousness really does disappear. Because if I walk into a room and I'm thinking, oh, I wonder if I look okay, I should have worn the other suit, what will they think of me? Then it's my thinking is inward. It's like worry, worry, worry. But if I walk in thinking, I wonder if anybody else here is new, maybe I can help somebody feel welcome. How would other people be feeling right now? And if my purpose is to serve, then it's just an absolute delight to connect with people. So people have often made this assumption that I'm just a really confident person. And I think, really? No, not at all. But when my focus is on others, then it's easy. And the other side of this is when your purpose is clear and greater than your fear, your nervousness will disappear. But what impact will it have? So what is your purpose? Because I'm sure, Howard, you might have encountered connections with people whose purpose is to just get another sale, get another client.
Yes.
And
Even
it's
from
clear.
friends.
You feel it, don't you?
Yeah, we can have that gut feel that something's not right.
Yeah. We feel it.
Especially if they ask you for a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
To go, it's actually networking.
Yeah. And you're like, what's the purpose of the coffee?
Yeah, what's the purpose of that coffee?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, and somebody has said here, and I will come back to the uncertainty. So thank you for that comment too. But my purpose is to glorify God in everything I do. And I think that's beautiful. And I would ask, so what specifically does that look like with other people? How do I serve people, or how do I connect with people? It's just playing with words and going, what is that? I wrote in my most recent book, it's the travel toolkit, which is kind of a bit funny to talk about because no one's traveling right now. But I wrote about the, here it is. I wasn't planning to read this, but you get a little extra, well, it's not bedtime reading for you guys, is it? But maybe do we have anyone from New Zealand?
Anybody from New Zealand?
Okay, so strangers in Jewish, Christian, and Muslim writings and beliefs are to be welcomed, honoured, and shown hospitality. We're all people, after all, and to many it's believed to be an expression of the goodness of God. So when we connect with people, when we show them the best in us, and we can bring out the best in them too. So that's just a little side note, but that lovely comment there, I just thought I will respond to that too. So moving forward, here is this little girl connecting with more animals than people. So the brown one is the bull, and the black and white one, I milked her most days. Sometimes there wasn't time before school and Dad would do it, but I did grow up milking the cow, and I was quite confident around animals. I'm not sure how old I am there, but wrestling a sheep was no problem, but talking to a human being could be a bit daunting. But my dad always pushed me out of the comfort zone. This is just one of the fun things that we do on the farm. He's just, dug a big dam there, to water the sheep, but also to have a bit of playtime at. So he's had swings over it. He's done all kinds of things. And there I am next to Dad on the top of this bridge, and I would have been about 7 or 8 because, and I was next on the rope. We were letting down my brother, who was about 1 or 2 years old. So we started young.
1 or 2 year old.
Yeah, it's like as soon as you're big enough to have a harness wrapped around you. So I think Dad always wanted us to overcome our fears. And he was actually a PT instructor in the army. And so we had obstacle courses. We had all kinds of, I don't know what they're called in the Philippines. I know there's all kinds of ninja warrior courses and, mud runs. And I'm I grew up with all of that. Yeah. We did all of those things. And so it was abseiling off bridges or, down buildings and all kinds of fun. And this probably looks a little familiar to my Filipino friends, because I know that you I'll do it one day over there. But at that stage, I was too small. At most carnivals or, rides, they have like a measurement. And it's like, if you're taller than this line, then you can go. Well, I was like under the line significantly. I was too small. I was not heavy enough. And my dad said to the guy operating it, she'll be fine. Please let her have a go. So I did. And then he bought a parachute like that, adapted it, and we used it on the farm behind a vehicle. So, extra fun. And of course, this is the kind of thing that we did with friends that were like skydiving friends a little further away from home. That's really fun, motorized skydive and motorized hang gliding, and then they run out of petrol when you're in the air and you're like, what do we do now? It's all right, we'll just glide down. So I've had my heart in my throat a lot of times growing up doing scary things, but talking to people is scarier. And so how did I get from doing those things and just being the girl on the farm that can connect with animals to writing books and traveling the world and talking to people about connecting with confidence? And I would say it's been a journey of honesty, self-honesty, and very much the encouragement of others. So I really want to encourage. Now, who did I say? Jamie, I think right at the beginning. I said Jamie is an encourager.
Yes.
She said something lovely. Encouragers are powerful people. So when you think about who has encouraged you in your life, sometimes it is a stranger who just says, you know, that was a fantastic thing that you did, or, you know, everyone's situations will be different. Maybe there's an auntie, maybe there's a grandma who has just said something simple like, you could do that. And those words you've grabbed onto and you're like, maybe I could do that. So just a shout out to all the encouragers. And I realized in asking myself, asking God, asking other people, like, what am I on the planet for? Like, what is my purpose? It's a big question to grapple with. And I was working with a coach at the time and writing things out. And I realized, you know, I think I'm just here to encourage people. And then I felt like, well, that's not very important. But I started to realize it is so important. And so to anyone who feels that they're not technically skilled, they're not good at so many things, it's very easy to list what we're not good at, isn't it, Howell?
Yes. Yes.
We can list all the things that other people are better at. But if we look at what is it that I can do, what is it that I can offer? And, you know, now it's called soft skills. And now Google says that that's like the most important, you know, 6 out of 10 of the most important skills in the workplace are soft skills. But we can think, you know, oh, my gift of encouragement is not very significant. But when you think about the difference that it makes between success and failure with completing something or just giving up, it's a really, really powerful thing. So thank you to all the encouragers in my world. And excuse me, I'm just tearing a little paper away. So how are we going for time? We've got lots of time. Where do we want to connect with people? Oops. I'm just trying to move my poll.
It's okay.
So let's put this in the chat box. Oh, JM is an encourager. I met JM in 2016, actually, when I met Patricia Lynn. Okay, so where do you connect with others? So I've just put a few samples in there. But I'm sure that we can have a look in the chat box and put some more things in. But where do you connect with others? At the moment, there might not be much connecting out walking or in shopping centres. I know some of you are employed, but some of you are employed at home, and some of you are in workplaces. Have some water, please. Where else are we connecting? Cafes. In Australia, the cafes have been open for takeaway only. So you go for a walk, get a takeaway coffee, walk back. But there's just like, hi, connecting with people. And of course,
Kerrie, I'm sorry. Have you seen the webinar chat room comment by Miss Irish, Sir JM? Can you see it from your end?
Oh yes, it is. Yes, but the her name was so tiny I couldn't see who said it. Yes. That is so lovely. And now that I know who said it, that's great, because I know JM's probably encouraged so many people. But I talked to Irish this afternoon, which was just lovely. Yeah. Okay, so we're connecting on Facebook, Workplace, YouTube, Messenger, Facebook and Zoom, yes. Is anyone else feeling a bit zoomed out?
Zoom meetings from Melodias Juana, Leonora.
Yes. So many online meetings, yes. And has anyone just been making phone calls to check in with people? How are you going? There are so many places that we can connect. And what have been the surprising connections? Has it been the phone calls from somebody, or has it been messages on LinkedIn, Facebook, etc.? Support groups, yeah. So a lot of religious communities, like churches have and temples, have not been having people meeting face to face, so they're going on Zoom, or they're, you know, messaging people one-on-one, making phone calls, all kinds of things. So as we saw in the beginning, 50% of the people on the call today are feeling more connected, because we realized, and it's an old song, isn't it? You know, you don't realize what you've got till it's gone. we have these moments of connection all the time.
Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden, it's like we're sent to our rooms and we're like, oh, it really matters that I connect with people. Yeah, there's Microsoft Teams. There's so many ways to be connecting. Now, I want to skip to the end of the asking model because literally I can spend a whole day. I spent a day with Patricia's team at Luelier on the asking model. But we're going to skip ahead to gratitude because gratitude is a powerful connector. Have you noticed that when you thank somebody for their efforts, when you thank somebody for what they bring to the job or whatever it is that we're expressing gratitude for, if we're specific, thank you, it can be really quite powerful, not just because it's encouraging, but because it also is informative. So I would say I have learned from other people's gratitude because when they say, thank you for this, it made a difference because, and I'm like, that's interesting. Have you ever noticed that? Sometimes people acknowledge you for something that you did and you go, wow, I could have left that bit out. So now I'm glad that I haven't. I'll include that again.
In fact, in our line of work, we will be receiving private messages thanking us for an impact that we never intended to. I mean, they would thank us for such aha moments, Coach Kerrie.
Yes. And in fact, I did a Zoom like this recently and somebody connected with me on LinkedIn and she said, thank you so much for your session. I really appreciated how you spoke about the, being specific with your gratitude. And I wrote back and I went, wow, well, thank you, because that's an exact example of what I'm talking about. Yeah. Just now somebody has popped in and said on LinkedIn and said, thank you for a great article on how one can serve the world. That's interesting. It's not even published yet. So that's one of the co-authors.
Oh, wow.
where Asia professional speakers, I don't know if I can tell you this. I think I can tell you, but I just can't share it yet. But very soon we are launching a book that we've co-written together. So it's exciting. We've written it especially for this time. Yes. So, I don't think it's a secret that we're writing it, but we just can't share the articles yet.
We'll keep it to ourselves in the meantime.
Yeah, like how many of us are there? There's a beautiful comment here. Gratitude gives me a sense of fulfillment of meeting others' needs, whether financial, moral, or emotional. Yes. And you know what? Sometimes we feel like it's the big stuff, that if we could just give somebody an envelope of cash, we would feel like I've made a difference. And that's amazing if you can do that, because we all know that sometimes you just go, I just wish that somehow, those stories of miracles where somebody opened the door and there was an envelope of cash, we've all wanted that at some stage. So that's awesome if it's that, but moral or emotional support.
Yes.
Sometimes it's the littlest thing, isn't it? It's the awareness of ourselves and thinking, oh, I feel a bit anxious. I said this to my husband this afternoon. If I'm not aware of how I'm feeling, and I actually felt quite sad on Saturday, just with everything going on in the world and people accusing people of different things, and I haven't seen my son since January because of the isolation, and he's 11 hours drive from here. And I actually felt really sad, which is quite rare for me, but I just felt sad. And I said to him, if we're not aware and can't articulate that, then people that we encounter might think it's about them and think, oh, what did I do? She doesn't like me. And so if I can be honest and just go, how are you going? I'm not myself today, but how are you? Then that can put people at ease. Yes. That's another being specific. And so that emotional support is powerful, just to lift someone's spirits. And, I'm going to tell you about a tiny moment of connection the other day. So we go for a walk, we go to this cafe, and there's a new girl there. Now, can everyone think back to your first day on the job? There's so much information, and there's someone training you, and they say, look, don't worry about all this. You just need to do this and 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 this. And you're like, I can't take it. And so this poor girl at the cafe, she's so focused on the task. And so she asked me, what would I like? And, so hi. and an espresso plate, 2 espressos, thanks. And she said, what size? And like an espresso is just a little short black. And so the barista standing behind her kind of laughed, and he knows what we have. And then my husband spoke to her in Spanish, and whatever the word was, for the short black espresso. And she lit up to see that he spoke her language. And it was such a beautiful moment, because then there was a connection. There's this little moment of him thinking, how do I say this in her language? Now, we can't all do that. I could say gracias. But just that little giving of himself, just it gave her the support to shift from task focus and stress to having a lovely interaction. And so we can look for little moments to put a smile on someone's face. And so gratitude. Let's have a look at how can we be expressing gratitude this week. And as I skip forward to this cute little picture, taking steps. What steps can we take this week?
Cute.
And it could be around developing your awareness of yourself and others. It could be gratitude. How do you want to express gratitude to others? So let's have some conversation here in the chat box.
Okay, so anybody? So our participants, we encourage you to answer the question and participate. So Coach Kerrie Phipps.
Yeah. Yes. I'm sure there's been some ideas coming up as we have had this conversation for the last 45 minutes. We can think of different places where we're connecting and how does that impact people? And so we can think about how does it impact us? And when we're connecting with that awareness of self and others, we are connecting with empathy, with compassion. And maybe the way that we connect through LinkedIn might be more... Okay, what the question is, what ideas do you have for how you can be connecting with people with gratitude or with a greater awareness?
So connecting with greater awareness and gratitude. So they're starting to...
Yeah. Yeah, it's all right. You've got a few minutes to think. And Val says, my partner and I share gratitude points every day when we have our main meal. And that's really lovely. That reminds me, we often, share gratitude at the dinner table. Having a pay it forward attitude, sharing blessings. And you know what? I'm going to share one with you right now. I picked up this little box from the stationery store downtown, and they have little cards that I don't know what they say. I just know they'll be encouraging. It says shine. And so then I pop it open. And it says, inside us, there is everything. We just have to look for it.
Wow.
And that's really interesting, isn't it? Because the other one I picked up that I've already opened says, all the wonders you seek are within yourself. So, but that's an interesting one today, is that says, inside us, there is everything. There is hope and there is despair. There is discouragement and there is encouragement. So again, back to Dr. Schwartz's question, what are you paying attention to? Okay, so Christina says, I think because we're always multitasking, we need to be paying attention to the person we're connecting with and not 10 other things on top of that. On top of that person, being in the moment is expressing gratitude for that moment. That's a really beautiful way of seeing that. Yeah, if we, and sometimes we need to remind ourselves to be grateful for the person that's sitting in front of us. And, but sometimes say, can I just put a couple of things aside? And that comes back to self-awareness too. And I remember when my son was young, I started my coaching business when he was 4 years old, and he would come running into the room and just chat. You know how kids just like talk? They don't even notice if anyone else is talking. And I would say, sweetie, just pause for a moment and just ask, Mummy, can I tell you something? Because that gives me time for my brain to switch gears and go, you absolutely can tell me something. But when you just come in and start talking to me, my brain is engaged in something else. It could be, that focused workspace. And I literally don't hear you. and then I hear the second sentence and I've lost the context. I'm like, sorry, what are we talking about? So So very quickly, once I understood that, what's going on in the brain and just needing to switch focus, my husband and son soon learned to say, can I ask you a question? and it's not like, can I please? But it's giving me an opportunity to shift gears up here. And so we can do that for other people too. We can say, do you have a couple of minutes? I just would love to talk something through. Give them time to put things aside. And if you can see, because you can tell, can't you, if somebody's actually listening to you, or if they're just, have all these other things on their mind.
If they're faking it.
Yes. Or if they, now I've got my phone here in the stand. So, but if we just imagine that's my phone, if someone's, if I'm wanting to talk to somebody and they're just like, no, tell me, but they're on their phone, I'm like, you know what, it's fine. I'll tell you when you're ready. And they're just like, no, it's fine. But when you just wait, they'll end up putting it down. Sometimes we need to ask people for their full attention, but we need to be very ready to give that ourselves. Okay, so we've got some more comments here. Simply saying thank you and acknowledgement of the act is a great move. Absolutely. Since I'm working from home, my teammates are the one who's doing my other job. So to show my gratitude to them, I'm sending them food. That's fantastic. Do you have some days where you are just too tired to think about what you're going to eat? So if somebody,
that's a happy problem.
Yeah. My husband feeds me, and he said to my son when he was going away one time, he says, you need to make sure that mum eats because she'll get focused.
Because here in the Philippines, unfortunately, their main problem is where to find dinner, where to find
because everything's closed. Yeah. So you can save somebody time. You can save them just the mental energy of having to think about where am I getting the next meal from. So that's beautiful. Recognizing others' emotions and reactions. Would you like to read some of these, Hal?
Okay, from Jeneline Keringal, connecting with others is like sharing our lives with them, and by saying thank you or saying I'm here for you is a big sign of gratitude.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Patricia Lim, thanking my team members for their resilience and dedication to their jobs with all the uncertainties happening.
Yes. Now, can we just pause there for a moment? Because someone said something earlier about uncertainty, like when is this going to end? So I talked about, threats to the brain. And, it can be someone looking at you the wrong way and then you think, oh, they don't like me. A significant threat to the brain is uncertainty. And I actually started speaking about this more in January when we had the bushfires in Australia, because I just noticed how my thinking kept going. Like I was on holidays with my husband and son up in North Queensland and there was no bushfires, but to get him back to the base where he works in Victoria, that whole part of Australia was just ablaze. And I noticed how much my thinking kept going to our travel plans and do I need to change hotels, like change highways and all of this. And I just thought, if I was trying to work right now, I would not be productive because there is this uncertainty. But if we can name it, then we can, diffuse it. It's noticing that, back to the hand model of the brain, noticing that anxiety, that uncertainty, and just going, wow, I feel really uncertain right now. So while that doesn't change, we can give ourselves a sense of certainty. And that then calms our brain and we can come back to our focused thinking. So what can we be certain about? We can be certain that, the person that we've just spoken to, is going to do what they've said they'll do, or we can when we pick up our bottle of water, we can have a drink. Just little things, but it's to have that conversation, to be honest with ourselves and say, I feel really uncertain. It's just completely got me off track, but what can I do? I can sit down and write some ideas, or I can get on a webinar like this and hear other people's ideas and start listing my own.
Yeah,
and I think we might talk about how we connect online also. And so, is it Francis Lim? Says, grateful to God for another new life, finding joy in seeing sunrise, birds around you. Yeah, absolutely. So there's so much to be grateful for. And that gratitude, while I said it's a powerful connector, it's actually beautiful for ourselves. And when you think about our own brain, it's making beautiful connections in our own thinking, and it's good for our own mental health. So let's have a look at, I'm just close to wrapping up, but my husband just put all these connections there where you can connect with me. But let's have a look at how do we connect with people online. So I mentioned, and he doesn't have LinkedIn there, but that's okay. You can find me on LinkedIn. And if you're connecting with someone on LinkedIn, think about how would you like to be connected with. So if you're sending a message that says, you know, I'm good at this and I can help you, I can help your business. Now, I don't know about you, Howell, but I get a lot of messages from people just saying, you know, buy my product. And I just think, I could accept and just say, no, thank you. But that's not a great start to the relationship, is it?
It's not.
And so, and I'd like your thoughts on this, because I've always said, you know, send a personal note. Like if you're sending me a friend request on Facebook, send a personal note and say, I met you because of Howell, or I was on this webinar. You know, make a connection.
Yes.
Say something so that the person knows why you're connecting. Even if it's just like, you've got such an interesting profile. Is it okay if I connect? Now, one of my friends, Andrea Edwards, has just published a book about LinkedIn, and she said, don't send personal messages. And I'm like, wow, but I want people to send personal messages. And I can see Christy's just sent a friend request, and she's probably on this call. So send her a message, say, yes, I'm on the call. So Andrea said, you know, executives don't want their time wasted with private messages. Now, I know that my private messages would stand out because they would actually be acknowledging the person, saying something about their profile. But, you know, I've got a few just sitting in the requests at the moment, and I'm like, when I have time, I might write back. But these people, they don't even know my name. I mean, they've sent a request to me, but it doesn't say, hi, Kerrie. It just says, hi, I like all your posts and I agree with them. We should connect. And I think
it's very generic.
It is very generic because I've never seen this man's name before. So if he says, I've been following your posts, I like them and agree with them, then why have I never seen him comment on any of the posts? So I think that's the space to connect with people. If you can connect on their activity and say, wow, that's a really thought-provoking article, they're far more likely to accept your friend request if you're actually building a relationship publicly. And online is like offline, isn't it? If I go into a room and I just like pass you a little note and say, please connect with me, you'd be like, that's a bit weird. Why is she being secretive? But if I just went, Howell, Kerrie Phipps, good to meet you. I've heard great things about your work. Then you're like, oh, okay, cool. You know, it's kind of safe, it's public, and we've connected in front of people. So there's Christy being a proactive connector. I love it. So think about, what are people receiving in their inboxes? Yeah. And if you actually are following their work, then comment on their work. You know, don't be shy to comment publicly. So yeah, think about how you're connecting. And so when we're thinking about, you know, ideas, how do we connect with people? Remember that they're people on the other side of the screen. And, you know, I just want to share about the Anchor FM, any podcast that you search on. I've just launched a podcast. This is something that's come out of the isolation period because my husband's been telling me to do it for a while. One of my clients is actually blind, and she said I was going to do a video Zoom with her, which she's fine with, but just the technology, she said, it's just easier if it's audio. And we just went, let's just do a podcast. So now I have this podcast. And, you know, I'd written out like a whole introduction, like a few paragraphs about it. My husband took the very last line of it and put it in the banner for the on my website on kerriephipps.com. And it says, leave intimidation and inadequacies behind and make a bigger difference in the world. And I have to tell you, I felt more vulnerable. I said, where did you get that from? And he said, you wrote it.
You wrote it.
And I was like, oh, it just, you know, you share something really honest and then you think, oh goodness, that's really kind of out there. That's brave. That's being me. But I realized that is my story. It's not a story of just becoming a confident person. It's a story of overcoming inadequacy, a sense of inadequacy and intimidation, and moving forward anyway. not waiting till I've got all my ducks in a row, because if I've got ducks, they're everywhere. We can't just wait to get things, in order to be confident. And so as I've been interviewing people for these podcasts, and you will see some Philippines guests, Filipino guests.
Filipinos, yes.
Yeah, sorry, I'm tongue-tied. But I've got guests from all over the world. And I notice as they tell their stories of things that they did, like confident things, they were confident after they took the step. So when you think about, the bungee jumping or the taking a leap, even Winnie the Pooh bouncing across those stepping stones, you're confident when you get to the other side and you go, look what I did, woohoo! But in the meantime, when you're stepping out, you're like, can I do this? I hope I can do this. I hope I can do this. And so I want to encourage people. You might not feel confident to connect, but once you've gone out and made the connection, then you're buzzing with excitement because cool things are happening. So we are going to take a little break in a moment, and I just have a couple of photos. And because somebody said something about birds a moment ago, I'm going to share with you my last picture. This is actually my son in the red shirt. This is at Goward Kalinga Enchanted Farm. Have you been to the Enchanted Farm?
Not personally, no. But yes, Goward Kalinga has been big in helping people build their homes.
Yes, yeah. Incredible stories there. And so I've had the privilege of speaking to the entrepreneurship students there. And I just love that photo because there are 4 cultures represented there, 4 nationalities. There's Australian, Filipino, French, and Danish. And
well represented.
Yeah, and I just love connecting with people. Actually, it's because of Patricia Lim that I connected with the Enchanted Farm and Goward Kalinga. And so you'd be delighted to know if anyone wants to get any of my ebooks, I discounted the price significantly because of COVID-19, because some countries you can't even order the books online. We can't ship books anywhere in some countries. So I just made the ebooks super cheap. And so for the next week, because I've been on this call, then we are giving to Goward Kalinga projects. We're feeding children in the Philippines as a result of any book sales. So now's the time to jump in there and have a look. And there's just a beautiful picture for our friend who was appreciating birds and nature. I can't think who that was. I said to my husband, he says, what are you doing with these photos at the end? I said, I don't know, just leave them there. So we'll just leave that picture there while we take a break for a moment, Hal, and then we're coming back with Q&A.
Thank you so much, Coach Kerrie.
You are welcome. In the meantime, I'm going to look at all these messages that we've missed because we will continue the discussion with them.
We definitely will. So everybody put your hands together for Coach Kerrie Phipps. You are an amazing storyteller. You had, from childhood to where you have arrived right now, you had a colorful childhood. I can identify with you because I also grew up in the countryside. I was born at the foot of a mountain. And so on weekends, we'd go to the forest, to the farms, to the streams, and get hurt and got hurt sometimes, but it's okay. And you know what? We are fortunate to have you, Coach Kerrie. And everybody's applauding you with
thank you
gratitude messages and clap offerings. Thank you so much. To our participants here in Zoom, don't go away. We'll be pausing for a 2-minute break so that every one of us, including Coach Kerrie, can grab a drink or something to bite. Wait, it's way past dinner time in Australia right now. At least it's dinner time already in Australia. So everybody, don't you go away. We'll be returning in 2 minutes. And then when we return, we'll be entertaining as much questions as we can. It's a first come, first served basis. So don't you go away. We'll be right back.